Hey guys, today I'm going to be installing and reviewing the latest release of Siduction. Siduction is a rolling release distro based on Debian's unstable branch. I reviewed a previous version of Siduction a couple of months ago. I reviewed the LXQT version of Siduction and I really loved that particular version of Siduction. Today I'm going to install Siduction LXDE. This will be the LXDE version of Siduction. This particular snapshot was released about 2 days ago. Alright, so I downloaded the ISO and I'm going to install this inside VirtualBox. So here we're presented with our boot screen. At the top of the boot menu here, you notice it provides us a username and a password for the live user here. Our default user will be Seducer and our default password will be live. So that's good that they include that information right here on the boot screen. A lot of distros don't have that information readily available on the ISO for you. A lot of times you have to go to like a wiki page somewhere on their website to get that information. So good stuff there. Alright, in this menu here we have options for setting time zone, our keyboard layout, key table equals US, so it's already set to a US keyboard for me. I don't have to change anything. Language has already been correctly set to English US, so I don't have to play with that. And then we have the option of launching directly into our live desktop environment, launching it from CD/DVD/ISO, which is what I'm going to do since I'm using the ISO. Or we have the option of from stick/hard drive. So I'm going to go ahead and choose from CD, DVD, ISO. And this should launch us straight into the live desktop environment. This will be the LXDE desktop environment. Might take a couple minutes to get into that live desktop environment. A lot of times when you're booting from an ISO, it can take a while. Alright, and the live desktop has finally loaded up. Took a couple of minutes to get to this point. Right on the desktop we have an icon for Calamares. Calamares is the installer, so let me launch the installer. Right, the first screen in the Calamares installer is a welcome screen and it wants us to choose a language. It's already been chosen for me though. English United States is correct. I'll choose next. We have the opportunity to read the release notes for Siduction 2018.1.0. I'm just going to skip that. Then we have our time zone settings. It's already chosen the correct time zone for me, so I'm going to click next. Keyboard layout. It's already correctly chosen English US for me. I can test it out in this test field. The keyboard is working as expected. I'm going to click next. Alright. Partitioning. We have the option of erasing the disk and just letting Siduction do whatever it wants with our hard drive, or we can manually partition the drive. I'm just going to let Siduction do its default thing. So I'm going to choose erase disk and let Siduction have the entire 15 gig drive of this virtual machine. I'm going to click next. Alright, we need to choose our name, our username. I'm just going to choose Siduction for a username. We have to give this user a password. So I'm going to type a very simple password that I'll remember. Then we have the option of logging in automatically without a password. I never tick that on. We also have the option of using the same password for the administrator account. So if I tick this on, the password for my user will also be the same password for the root user, the super user, the sysadmin. I'll tick that on. That way I don't have to remember two different passwords. Alright, then we have our little summary here. We can review location, keyboard, our partition scheme. Everything looks correct, so I click next. Alright, it warns me it's about to format the drive right to the disk. I'm going to click install now. And that's it. Away it goes. It'll probably take, 5 minutes or so for the installer to run. I'll pause the recording. An interesting side note here while I'm waiting for the installer to complete. In the little screen here, we have this little blurb from Siduction. It's a warning, really, that Siduction by default includes some non-free firmware that enables you to set up Wi-Fi and other hardware and non-free needs. So Siduction is based on Debian. Debian only ships with free and open source software. It does not include any non-free, closed source, proprietary software at all. Debian does. So, Siduction is telling us if we want to go back to being Debian free software guide compliant, remove all that non-free software. If you want your system to be DFSG compliant, you need to run the script, and then it tells us the name of the script, remove-non-free, after you reboot into your installed system. So, for those of you that want to run a completely free system, you can do that. I imagine 98% of the people that install Siduction probably want that non-free software included. Again, it's going to help you get all your Wi-Fi drivers and video drivers and multimedia codecs and all that stuff. You really need that stuff if you're going to have a proper desktop experience. So, alright, and the Calamares installer has finished running. You need to go down here to the bottom left of the screen and click Restart Now, and then click Done, and it will reboot your system, which completes the installation. Alright, and I reboot the machine. This is our freshly installed Siduction, the LXDE edition. See how long it takes for us to get to a login manager. Okay, that was pretty fast there. Now I need to type in our username and password. And here we are. We log straight into the Lxde Desktop environment. VirtualBox guest editions work out of the box, which is not always the case with Debian-based distros, but it is the case with Siduction LXDE, though. So, this is the Lxde desktop environment. Lxde is designed to be a really lightweight desktop environment. Very minimal, very fast. Great for older computers. Oftentimes, older computers that can't run really any other, full desktop environment. Computers that you have laying around that are, say, 8, 10, 12 years old that would never run something like GNOME 3 or the Plasma Desktop or Unity or Cinnamon or anything like that. Oftentimes they will run LXDE just fine. So great for older machines or machines limited on resources. So I'm going to go through the LXDE menu here and show you what's installed by default on Siduction LXDE. So we have, under accessories, we have our character map. We have Clipit, which is a clipboard manager. We have Compton. Compton is the compositor for LXDE here. I'm assuming they're probably using the OpenBox window manager. OpenBox does not have a built-in compositor. Compton will add shadowing and effects to the OpenBox window manager if you so choose. We have our disk utility. We have our calculator, which is called Calculator. We have our image viewer. We have LeafPad. LeafPad is the standard text editor in the Lxde desktop environment. Nice, lightweight, minimal text editor. We have our Midnight Commander editor. We have Mousepad. Mousepad is the standard text editor in the XFCE desktop environment. I'm not sure why we have two plain text editors installed by default. That's a little strange. Really, you should install one or the other, LeafPad or Mousepad, but not both of them. It's kind of pointless to have both of them. Plank. Plank is the dock at the top of the page here. This is Plank. Let me right-click and Control. And I have the option of viewing the About page for Plank. Plank 0.11.4 is the release. Plank is a really cool, lightweight dock. Alright, we have our screenshot utility. We have Vim, which is a terminal-based text editor. We have Xarchiver, which is the archive utility for the XFCE desktop environment. We have XFburn, which is the disk burning utility in the XFCE desktop environment. A pretty cool little disk burning utility. Also under accessories, we had Zim Desktop Wiki. Under education, the only program listed is LibreOffice Math. Under graphics, we have Document Viewer, we have GIMP installed by default. That's pretty interesting. Being a lightweight, minimal distro, a lot of times to keep the ISO real small, you won't see something like GIMP, which takes up a lot of space on the disk, installed by default. But I like that they installed GIMP by default. I always install GIMP on every system I run. ImageMagick is also installed. Inkscape, another very cool graphic editing program. This one is for vector graphics, where GIMP is for raster graphics. We also have LibreOffice Draw. We have Screen Grab, which is another screenshot utility. We have Xsane, which is our scanner utility. Under Internet, we have Cine. We have Firefox as our default browser. Firefox takes a minute to open. Alright, we have, what version of Firefox are we looking at here? Alright, we have Quantum 57.0.1. So Firefox is our default web browser. We have gPotter. I've never heard of gPotter. What is gPotter? Podcasting utility. That's pretty cool. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but if I did, I would probably find that particular program interesting. HexChat. HexChat is our IRC chat client. And also under Internet, we have a program simply called IRC. It's another link to HexChat. Alright, we have some SSH stuff. We have Thunderbird as our email client. We have the Transmission BitTorrent client. Transmission is the standard BitTorrent client in the GNOME desktop environment. Alright, under Office, we have our document viewer, and then we have the entire LibreOffice suite. We also have QPDFView, which is a PDF program. Alright, then we have a category called Other, and it is a monstrous category. I'm not sure what all of this is. Most of it looks like a lot of shell programs. Yeah, we have some different shells, bash, dash. We also have some looks like some terminal programs like IRC, the IRC chat client, Lynx, which is a web-based or text-based web browser, O'Clock, Orphaner. Let's see, we have more shell stuff. We have the top command. We have WeChat, which is another terminal IRC chat client. A lot of IRC clients installed on this system. Then we have all these X utilities. Most of these, I'm not sure why they bother putting those in a menu. I mean, these are not something your typical desktop user would ever need. I mean, if you want to launch some of these like X programs like Xcalc and Xeyes or whatnot, I mean, you probably already know the terminal commands anyway, and you're probably going to be launching them from a command prompt. It's not something a typical Linux desktop user needs, so I would just not even have that category, that subcategory of stuff there. I would get rid of that because it just looks like a gigantic, mess here, this menu. Alright, under Sound and Video we have Audacious. Audacious is a nice, lightweight, minimal audio player. Also under Sound and Video we have gPotter again. We have MPV. MPV is our video player. Under Sound and Video we also have our Pulse Audio stuff. We have SM Player. SM Player is another video player. Pretty cool. Oh, I accidentally launched something here. Launched Firefox. Sorry guys. Alright, we have VocoScreen. VocoScreen is a really neat little program. It's a webcam program. If I had a webcam connected to this virtual machine, basically you would see something similar to this screen that I'm talking in right now. This is actually a program called GUVC View, but VocoScreen is very similar. It opens up a little window, where basically your webcam records you. Alright, also under Sound and Video, XFBurn appears again, and then the YouTube browser for SM Player is also here. Then we have our system tools. We have the Decomp editor, Disk Manager, we have our File Manager. The File Manager for LXDE is PCMan FM. Really nice, lightweight file manager, PCman FM. I install it on a lot of my minimal installs. Like if I'm installing something like OpenBox or Fluxbox or a tiling window manager like Xmonad or whatnot, if I'm going to install a graphical file manager, it's always PCman FM. Also under System Tools, we have Gparted, we have the Quake terminal, we have HTOP. HTOP is a little terminal-based system monitor. Let's open it up. Let's see what kind of system resources LXDE is using here. Alright, for my CPUs, I gave it 2 CPUs to use, this virtual machine. It is using about 1.3% of one of my CPUs and less than 1% of the other. Very low CPU usage. Memory footprint, I gave this machine 6 gigs of RAM. It is only using 271 megs of RAM right now. And that's with me running HTOP. So, extremely low memory footprint. Very nice. This is why LXDE is a great desktop environment for those of you that are running older computers. Also under System Tools, we have a kernel remover. We have our terminal, which is LX terminal, the standard terminal in the LXDE desktop environment. This is LX terminal 0.3.0. Also under System Tools, we have Midnight Commander. This is a terminal-based file manager. So for those of you that like to do your file management from a terminal instead of a graphical program like PCman FM, Midnight Commander works just fine. We have our package updater. Let's see. Okay, 150 packages need to be updated right now, so that's kind of a big update. I'm not going to run it here on camera. This is a rolling release, but this was released like 3 days ago, this particular snapshot of Siduction. So it's not a terribly old snapshot to have 150 updates. Alright, we have our bug reporter, to report bugs. We have our root terminal. This simply opens up probably the LX terminal. But it opens it up as root instead of as your normal user. You got to be careful with opening up a root terminal. If you don't really need to be running commands at root, you don't want to be doing a lot of stuff in the root terminal. It's too easy to mess up your system. Alright, Siduction Bugs, that's a bug tracking program. We have our System Profiler and Benchmarker. We have the Task Manager. This Task Manager is a graphical task manager, unlike HTOP. This particular Task Manager is just a graphical way of showing you what I showed you in HTOP. It shows you CPU usage, memory usage, and processes running. And to finish out the System Tools category, we have Xterm, which is a standard terminal emulator. You see it on almost every Linux distro out there. Alright, under Preferences we have About Myself, we have Additional Drivers. This is where you get all your third-party and proprietary drivers installed. Again, those third-party proprietary drivers are non-free software. This is where Siduction differs from your standard Debian install, which will not install all these non-free drivers. I like using the non-free drivers. I like having a video card that works and Wi-Fi drivers working. So, alright, we have ADSL/PPPoE configuration. I don't know what that is. Alternatives configurator. I'm not sure what that is either. Okay, I guess this is setting like your default programs or whatnot. We have a list of programs installed on our system here. I'm assuming that's what that probably is for. Also under Preferences, we have our Bluetooth Manager, Customized Look and Feel. Customized Look and Feel is a program called LX Appearance. This is where we can change the theme and the icon set. The icon set, by the way, the default one is the Fienza Ambience icon set. Really nice icon set, but that's pretty much all they have installed by default. They also have the default GNOME icon set, the Adwaita theme. And that's pretty much it for icons. And also under Preferences, we have your standard stuff. For first setting, desktop preferences, monitor, keyboard, network connections. We have the OpenBox Configuration Manager. This is where you would set your OpenBox theme. It is set to breeze-ob by default. The open box theme is the frame around your windows. That is your window manager, and we're using the open box window manager. And the only other thing that I want to point out in preferences is the graphical package manager is, of course, the Synaptic package manager. Synaptic package manager is usually the most common graphical package manager on Debian and Debian-based distros. Very easy to use. For example, if I wanted to update my system, all I would do is I would hit reload right here. What this does is the same as typing in sudo apt update in a terminal. This is just updating the repos. Then it's deciding, what packages need to be updated. You go up here, hit mark all upgrades, and this tells you all the packages installed on your system that need to be upgraded. Click mark, and then go up here and click the apply button. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I can go through this list if I want to actually see everything that's going to be updated. Anyway, click apply, and it starts the update. Now I'm going to minimize all this to get it out of the way, but I'm going to let that update run. Alright, let's see if we have any wallpapers other than the default one here installed. So I right click on the desktop, I choose desktop preferences, and under desktop preferences we still have the Synaptic package manager doing some stuff here. Let me get rid of that stuff again. It's wanting to ask me some questions here. Anyway, under wallpaper, the default wallpaper, the one we currently have set, is called patience.jpg. If I click there, the only other options I have are wallpapers called patience-medium, patience-really wide, patient-wide. So let me choose patience-wide. Let's see if that changes anything. No, it's basically the same wallpaper. Yeah, they're all pretty much the same wallpaper, just set to different resolutions. Synaptic. I really shouldn't have ran that update. Synaptic keeps asking me for permission for different things. It's asking me to restart certain packages. Yeah, let me just tell it to go ahead and restart everything it wants to restart while it's updating. Some of these services that it's updating, they need to be restarted after the update. They'll be restarted in the background, though. That it shouldn't affect anything on this recording. Alright, let me go to the plain dock here at the top. I'm going to open up the terminal once again. And I'm going to type uname space -r. Alright, kernel 4.14.10 is the kernel, so pretty fresh kernel release here. So all in all, what do I think of Siduction LXDE? Well, I love Siduction. This is the second different version of Siduction I've reviewed on this channel, and I've used Siduction prior to starting this channel. I love Debian. I like Debian Unstable. Now it's a rolling release, so you gotta like living in a rolling release. You may experience some minor breakages along the way. I'm more of a Debian stable kind of guy, but if you like a rolling release, Siduction is worth checking out. The last version of Siduction I reviewed was the Lxde desktop environment, and I like the Lxde desktop environment, but it's kind of beta software. I mean, it's not really ready for prime time, to be honest. I mean, Lxde is kind of the new kid on the block for a desktop environment. There's still some bugs to work out. Lxde has been around forever. It never really changes. It just works. It's rock solid stable. So Lxde, really, if you've got a older computer that needs a lightweight desktop environment and you're not sure which one to put on it, I would put Lxde on it. Lxqt is more for those that are interested in what's going on with the development of the Lxqt desktop environment, or interested in the Qt toolkit. For those of you that are just interested in installing something on a computer and getting work done, though, Lxde, in my opinion, is the better way to go right now over Lxqt. All in all, though, I give Siduction LXDE a thumbs up. Check it out, guys. Peace.